Not going to bore you all morning here with mortgage talk. We're actually talking with Downtown Dan from Remax Executive, and really we're just talking about, investors listen up, strategies and how to invest in real estate. We spent a little time, Dan, talking about buy and flip. We call that the HGTV trend. Now we've been talking about buy and hold, and we really with the intention of just having a long-term lease. And you had mentioned advantages like your tenant pays your mortgage and there's tax advantages, but we also know that rates on mortgages are down, appreciation rates are up for houses. There's all kinds of really great benefits to investing and then holding it long term, creates cash flow, etc. And you can just leverage that investment over time. But I want to talk about maybe what are some of the disadvantages to the buy and hold with a long-term lease strategy.
Well, as a landlord, once again.
So you're now a landlord, so you have a new title, right?
Yes, as a investor and a property owner, you become a landlord. So you have tenants, and most tenants, by the way, are very good tenants. And 95% of all tenants are respectful and take care of property, but there are some scary tenants out there.
Oh, yeah.
Also, although I've been in the business 30 years and done all aspects of real estate and can very easily manage my own property as a professional, I would never recommend that. I highly recommend that you hire a property manager. The other people in the room would probably agree to that. It's just something that you shouldn't be involved in because there's liabilities when you manage your own property. In owning a buy and hold, there are maintenance issues in it, and you should always have as part of your budget 10 to 15% set aside from your cash flow. Okay, so you have an emergency fund to always take care of a broken water heater or painting the house every 8 years and doing the roof every 15 years and changing the AC unit when it needs it, a new refrigerator here and there. There's some expenses involved. The income pays for those expenses if you budget it, and you budget it wisely and you treat it like a business. Tenants can do damage on the property, and there is turnover once every 18 to 24 months in a property, and when that happens, you would have to go in and generally upfit your property with fresh paint for the next set of tenants. There might be some damages that they did, normal wear and tear.
Carpet.
And carpet. Don't buy carpet, America, anymore. Carpet is fairly well now thought of as disgusting by both tenants and landlords. Just buy laminate flooring, never touch carpet again, remove the carpet, and send it on its way because it's high maintenance and very expensive over a long period of time.
It's German culture too.
Sometimes there's vacancies when you have a property in between turnover. And again, you have to do some repairs on it. But the advantages, all during that, disadvantages of being a landlord, the cash flow and the fact that someone is paying for your future $500,000 or $300,000 home, that is your paid off asset in 10 or 20 years, it's all worth the effort, really is.
Perfect. So now I'm going to really slide into kind of what the whole meat of what we wanted to get to and what you wanted to bring as value to our show, Dan, is really kind of a newer, trendier strategy. Is not just buy and hold, but buy and hold with a short-term rental. And so I'd like you to kind of tell our investors or future investors about this strategy and what that is.
Well, Airbnb and HomeAway and Vacation Rentals, .com and all of that has changed the way people travel. Charlotte, if you did not know this, is one of the top 15 destinations of travel in the United States of America.
Wow, I didn't know that.
We have a lot of people that come here for sports, business, entertainment. We have the second busiest airport in the United States here. People come here to play golf, to work, to grow their lives and everything like that. So there's a lot of people. It's also a big sports destination for kids sports. So I manage some Airbnbs and vacation, let's call them short-term rentals. We use about 10 different portals for that. But what it has done is it's given my investors, including myself, a way to make a little bit higher return on investment, a higher cash flow. And there's some advantages and disadvantages with that, but the number one advantage is if you can earn an extra 20 or 30% in income on a monthly basis and an annualized basis, that's pretty positive, especially if you use it, you know, like a Dave Ramsey type of thing. Use that extra money to pay down your mortgage instead of paying your mortgage off in 30 years. Maybe your mortgage is now paid off in 9 years. Then you have the rest of that 27 years of profit to invest in bank. So by earning more money, you can pay down your loan, pay off your loan, and etc. So
cool. It's really, you know, people don't think about it, but it's very easy to think, well, gosh, I'm gonna, this summer I want to go up to Lake Hickory and get a place at the lake, and I go out to VRBO or go out to Airbnb, and you know, somebody owns that property and is making a premium for that 1 week or 2 weeks that I'm there, which would be way more than what I would pay if I were to rent that property for a whole year on a 12-month lease, right? Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to get our listeners to think the opposite. What if you are that investor and you buy with the intent of maybe just furnishing a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath house near the city or near an attractive area of Charlotte, maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe a 4-bedroom, it doesn't matter, right? But the point is families have needs, individuals have needs, and people aren't just running to you know, a major hotel anymore, right? If you can spend, I mean, really, hotels aren't cheap, right?
Right.
You bring 2 kids, perhaps a dog, for 3 nights in a hotel, you're out $600,000-800,000, right?
Well, you're
when
typically
maybe
in one room.
right, and you're all squeezed into one space. Whereas you might be able to get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house for the same dollars, have a kitchen, have a living room, have a TV with cable, and have a whole setup with a yard. I mean, it's just
more at home.
yeah, feeling like you're at home and you have a little more privacy. So Dan does recommend that, you know, if you're going to employ the strategy, it's likely that you want to stick with a single family residence versus.
I want to ask too, you know, several years ago, to me that was kind of outlier. You know, people did that when the golf tournament came to town or something like that.
Right.
But now, and I'll take it off and let Dan answer this. It really seems to be becoming more mainstream and more just people. I mean, you know, wasn't that big a thing back, but it's really become more popular, hasn't it?
yeah, Charlotte has 400, 500, 600 Airbnb units, and what it's done is put a dent into the not the travel industry, but it put a dent into the hotel room nights.
Yeah.
Do you have those same
what do they call-
taxes that the hotels do? Or no?
Well, Airbnb and a couple of those, Airbnb agreed with the state of North Carolina that they would take out hotel taxes and locally here. So Airbnb charges hotel taxes, which are 9.5% to the guest, and that money comes through Airbnb, not through the host, through the Airbnb, but the guest pays for it and gets directly to the city. And the city's making a lot of money off of the taxes from hotel taxes from Airbnb. It's a significant amount of money. You have thousands of nights locally each month that they're receiving taxes on. So the city's become a little bit friendly. There are some cities out there that are not friendly towards Airbnb, even the places where in San Francisco where it was originally created. But
What are some, so let's go through some of the advantages to this strategy, Dan, that you see over perhaps that long-term lease that we just talked about.
well, keep in mind that the
For the investor, of course.
for the investor, the number one thing here is that the investor's going to receive instead of the regular tenant you have there for a year and a half and you have to go fix up the house, they're going to receive a high quality tenant that might be staying 3 or 4 weeks or a weekend. But when they leave, the house is cleaned up with generally a cleaning service. So you have a maintenance of your own property that keeps your unit cleaner, longer, and there's there's lower cost in fixing up a turn and over. But the number one reason to do it is that there's more income. In other words,
Right.
let's say you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and the current market rate is $1,500 a month. That's what you would get. Well, with Airbnb, maybe you gross $2,500 a month, but then you have some extra expenses. But after your expenses and your management, and you got to pay electric and Wi-Fi and other little maintenance items, you might be ending up with another $600 a month cash flow. That's a big difference. Even if it's
that's huge.
$200 or $300 a month, that's $200, $300 a month. You can pay your mortgage off, or you can invest it. The cash flow is the main incentive. It does take a little work, and it does take an initial investment also.
Got it. So, why don't we take just a quick minute to talk about maybe some of the disadvantages to this strategy, so our listeners can understand what hit on a couple kind of sort of, but what do you see are those differences or disadvantages?
The disadvantages is, one, it takes just a little bit more time as a landlord if you're doing it yourself. There are services like myself. I work with a number of investors, and I do the whole thing turnkey, and I charge a management fee just as if you were a buy and hold client. It's management fee. But the disadvantage is you have to put out an initial outlay to make your house not only fully furnished, and we're talking all the way down to blow dryers and hair curlers and coffee
Dishes
pots and dishes and everything you imagine in a nice hotel experience, and you have to fully furnish your property. So that might be, on an average 3-bedroom, might be a $12,000 to $15,000 investment. But that investment goes a long way, and it doesn't get damaged that much. Usually that same investment can last 6 or 7 years if well maintained. Some of the stuff like silverware doesn't ever really go bad. It just
Right.
So you have the initial investment for the household goods and the kitchen and the bath accessories, and everybody wants a big screen TV and etc. You also have you have to have expenses that you might not have as a regular landlord. You're gonna have utilities. You're gonna have to have high-speed internet. You're gonna have, if it's a single-family house, you'll be taking care of the yard and the mowing and the trimming. If you have water, electricity, gas bills, you'll be responsible for those. But you'll still earn more money in your pocket and have a greater cash flow even after those expenses.
Got it. Well, what we're going to do, Dan, is before we sort of wrap up this topic, we got to take a quick break. We're over our time allotment here. So again, you're listening to Reshiar Radio. My name is Chris Reshiar. We've had Dan Downtown down here from RE/MAX Executive talking about the short-term rentals strategy. Super cool. But we've got a lot more to talk about in our last segment, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, cool. Sorry.